We would go to people's homes and find out what supplements are you ingesting. And they would go into their cabinets and they would pull out hundreds of bottles. And we'd ask them, well, why are you taking this? And what are you taking this for?
There is this human psychological tendency once a good habit is started to continue that good habit. And that can be one of the issues in the health optimization industry.
It's Brandon Dawson here with a good friend of mine. This guy is a leader in the world in biohacking and understanding the science of how to optimize your body. So I can't wait for you guys to participate and listen to this show. I'm here with Ben Greenfield himself.
Yo.
Ben, how you doing here, bro?
I'm pretty good.
Oh, man, I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be down in beautiful Scottsdale and not goosebumping every morning. Like
100%. 100%. So listen, I noticed you're wearing a 10X Health shirt. So let's just peel the Band-Aid off and talk about why are you wearing a 10X Health shirt?
Oh, man, where do I start? It's been probably like 3 months that I've been kind of paying attention to some of the new science you guys are rolling out. You ran a test on me. I was actually over in London. I dropped into a clinic over there, submitted my test for the Precision Genetic Panel. And I got these 3 books. These are your books. I had 3 just like this sent to my house and started thumbing through them and was pretty impressed what you're able to put together based on, essentially me swishing a little bit of saliva in my mouth. And then I didn't realize until probably, I think it was like a month and a half ago, that you're able to basically like print supplements based on the analysis, which blew me away because there's really nobody doing a good job of that in the space right now. And, you and I have been talking since then about the potential for where else this could go, like custom grocery shopping lists, show up at a grocery store and scan a QR code and get your food dialed in. Exercise plan, the supplementation, like there's so many areas this could dive into. I mean, beyond just what's going on in your gut or your supplements or how you exercise, I mean, even down to how you're living, what you're putting on your body, your beauty care products. I mean, you could pretty much customize someone's entire life and optimize their health based on this stuff. So it was kind of a pattern interrupt for me, and so much so that I wanted to get involved with you guys.
So you literally speak all over the world. You've been known as one of the top biohackers and personalities on social media for years. I've known about you since we launched 10X Health. And you've been an advocate for optimizing human health, a variety of modalities. You've seen just about everything that's in the marketplace on a global basis.
Yeah.
From your perspective and opinion, based on the fact that we've been working together this long and you've actually received your precision supplementation, your precision carb or fat blockers, your precision analysis broken down to how you should train and what you should be eating and how you should be eating. And then you augment that with your blood and it brings it to real time. So you have the baseline with your genes, and then on top of that, you basically alter as you go along to modify.
Which is a good point, by the way, not to derail you, but that can be one of the issues with genetic testing. And you hear people say this, well, these are all predictive, right? And you'll hear an analogy like, all this shows is what kind of dynamite you're holding, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you've lit it with the match, or you haven't actually experienced what these genes could potentially cause. But then you marry something like genetics to actual blood work to see what's actually manifesting, and then you have a real-time picture along with preventative picture that you can act on. And that's where I think the genetics and the blood is a good combination versus just having the prediction. Now you've got, well, how's this actually fleshing itself out from a biology and biomarker standpoint.
And now all of a sudden you have a way to regulate your body for human precision optimization. And to your point, the ability to print supplements. I mean, at the end of the day, these are my supplements. I went from, there's all these 10X Health bottles behind us, right? And I would carry trays with me when I travel, and I travel extensively. Yeah. Every once in a while, those trays would flip upside down, bust open, and I'd open up my suitcase, and I would have a whole bottom suitcase of supplements, and I'd be holding them in my hand.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we would go to people's homes and find out what supplements are you ingesting. And they would go into their cabinets, and they would pull out hundreds of bottles. And we'd ask them, well, why are you taking this? And what are you taking this for? I have a friend that told me about that. I had a doctor said I should take, I saw this on an advertisement. And so what happens is people end up accumulating all these supplements and all this medication, and they start taking everything together. And then they're not regulating any of it. And worse, we started looking at who's manufacturing these supplements and where are they coming from around the world. And they're like being manufactured in little towns in China. You have no idea what's in those supplements.
Dude, welcome to my, I say nightmare. It's not that bad, but I work with a lot of people. I'm on the phone typically about 12 to 15 hours a week, just walking people through interpretation of blood work, biomarkers. I'm not a doctor, but I spend a lot of time digging into this stuff. Like my formal background is a master's degree in physiology and biomechanics, but I've geeked out on nutrition and biochemistry for years and years since then. And so I spend a lot of time looking over people's labs, talking with them about their health and their fitness goals, et cetera. But as a part of that, you get the digital equivalent of the plastic bag full of supplements, right? Here's the spreadsheet, Ben. And you know when it's a spreadsheet that it's going to be a lot of supplements.
Yep.
Or the spreadsheet of the giant Google Doc full of all these things that I'm taking. And there is this human psychological tendency once a good habit is started to continue that good habit. And that can be one of the issues in the health optimization industry is I started doing the sauna and then I heard about cupping. So I'm doing some cupping every day. And then I've got this percussive gun. So I'm doing a little bit of body work each day. And then I heard about the cold plunge thing. And I'm supposed to do cardio, but I'm not supposed to just do long cardio. I'm supposed to do short cardio too. And I'm supposed to lift weights, but I'm supposed to lift them fast and then lift them slow. And stuff starts to stack to the point where you can build up a pretty impressive protocol and then have no time left in the day because you haven't learned what's redundant or how to stack certain things effectively. When you look at supplements, you see the same thing. Like people will amass a huge number of items based on what you were alluding to. My doctor recommended this. My friend recommended this. I read this article about this brand new sexy thing that's optimizing my mitochondria or my longevity or whatever. And stuff stacks. And I've gotten to the point now where I will take that whole sheet. This has saved me hours and hours. I feed it into GPT now and I say, okay, show me the redundancies, show me the sourcing of all these supplements, show me what is interfering with the absorption of another because it gets messy from a biochemical standpoint and it can produce things like, for example, vitamin D toxicity, right? If you're on 5 different supplements and each of them is averaging like 1,000, 2,000 international units of vitamin D, all of a sudden you're pulling calcium into your arteries with vitamin D toxicity. That's just one example. But you pair that with what you experience with, you call them trays, I call them old man pill containers.
Yeah.
So I've got these suitcases that are just, ripping open at the seams with 12 different bottles of stuff in them. And that's another issue. I packed for this trip because I just got my precision supplements last week. I have 2 little Ziploc bags, right? One with my fat carb blocker, one with my precision supplements, and that's all I need. And I just started taking one this week. Yeah. So that's a huge saver. But then also this idea that you can take something like this, and I would imagine people are probably wondering this because this is not all that's on the table. You've got all these other things back here behind, like methylene blue, for mitochondrial and neural optimization, or amino acids for recovery or satiety. You can take something like the precision supplements and then a la carte the stuff on top of that you need. Because like this multivitamin mix in here is going to put you to sleep at night, right? But then you could add something like the sleep onto that. So then you can pick and pack, but it's still a pretty small number of things that you have to select from and a pretty small amount of confusion and packing frustration compared to how it used to be.
I used to carry literally like 14 of these bottles. I'd throw them in my suitcase, and then I can't see when I don't have my glasses on. So I'd get up in the morning, and I'd start opening the bottles and putting them in one lid, right? Mm-hmm. And I would stack and stack and stack, and then I'd be like, I'd put a handful of them in, and then I'd think to myself, oh, wait a minute, how many of those am I supposed to take? And I'm trying to read the back side of the bottle, and then I'm like, I'm only supposed to take one of those. I think I put 3 in. I look down, and because I have so many supplements in there, I can't figure out what they look the same at some point. Yeah. And so sometimes I'd be taking things going,
which one did I just put in? What do I need to take out?
And what did I forget? Yeah. And so to replace that and have all my supplementation for the day that's built for me, printed for me, with an absorption rate that's much higher than...
Right. And yours might be different than, this is probably important for people to know. Like this is not the fat carb blocker.
That is, yeah.
This one, I can tell because it's only 2 colors versus this one, which is multicolored, the multivitamin one. So the fat carb blocker, that's based on the FAB gene and then the ARD gene. I think those are the 2 acronyms for the genes. The former responsible for how much fat you absorb, the latter responsible for how much carbs you absorb.
Yep.
So this would dictate, based on genetics, how good a job you do digesting fat, how much is absorbed, what gets converted into triglycerides, what spills over into the bloodstream. The carbohydrate piece would dictate your propensity for gas or bloating due to inadequate carbohydrate breakdown, your propensity for something like increased blood sugar response to a meal based on excessive or rapid carb breakdown. So I don't know your profile. It might be different than mine, but I'm about 50-50, meaning I have about a 50-50 mix of fat blockers and carb blockers in my mix. But that's all based on the salivary analysis. So this one book, the big one, the nutrition analysis one, you can read through that and it will show you, hey, here's your fat carb blend and here's what you need to be taking. So this would be, for example, before your 2 biggest meals of the day. You'd take your fat carb blocker and then you'd take your multivitamin mineral mix, which has some extra goodies added into it, after one of the other meals.
And so basically all you have to worry about, like I just got back from the Middle East. I was there for 10 days. I took 10 of these and I took 20 of these. I took my sleep. I love my sleep and I love my calm before I go to bed, and then I'm out. Right?
Yeah. Not messing around with the methylene blue yet?
I do methylene. When I'm in town every morning, the first thing I do is methylene blue. I actually like to mix it a little bit with our 10X electrolytes. I put it in a bottle, shake it up. I hit that methylene blue. I go out to the red light bed.
I was going to say that is the match made in heaven, methylene blue. So the idea behind, for example, the 10X Superhuman protocol is you're going to alkalize and make the body more receptive to oxygen by doing the pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Then you hypersaturate the body with oxygen, and there's kind of a couple ways to do that. You can either get into a hyperbaric chamber, you can just sit there and breathe hypoxic air and then hit yourself with hyperoxic air, or your guys' approach is you get on an exercise bike or any exercise apparatus and you just breathe like 90 to 93% oxygen. But that last step is the red light therapy, which basically kicks off nitric oxide synthase from the part of the mitochondria called cytochrome C oxidase. And when that happens, it allows oxygen to rush in and assist with the production of ATP. Now, what can speed up that process is methylene blue. As a matter of fact, any melanin-rich compound from the plant kingdom, this is very interesting. Humans can almost photosynthesize a little bit like plants, meaning if you take like a dark black of the plant kingdom, one popular one right now is shilajit, dark green, like an algae compound like spirulina or chlorella, or methylene blue, and you combine that with red light, you're basically amping up the activity in the electron transport chain in the mitochondria, and you're essentially creating extra ATP without having to eat calories. And at some point you got to eat calories, but this is kind of like an extra edge if you combine it with red light. If anybody's tried red light, like try it with methylene blue, like a half hour before, and you get this huge rush of energy compared to doing the red light without the methylene blue. So it's like a cheat code on the Superhuman program.
I can tell you personally, like my routine in the morning, especially when I travel, because I travel extensively. So that first morning back, I go over to the club, get my workout in, I hit the cold plunge, I get back home, I lay on my mat for a little bit and kind of just relax. I go in, then I just hit that oxygen for 12 minutes. I just get on that bike and go as fast as I can, and then I go lay in that red light bed. But before I lay on the mat, I hit the bottle of methylene.
Yeah, so it's in your system by the time
in my system for 20, 30 minutes.
To the red light.
That's right. And then afterwards, my recovery time from travel, like I just flew 17 hours, right?
Right.
And I was recovered in the first day I got home. I felt amazing, and you and I had dinner last night, and I was going to go home and go to bed, and I'm like, I feel phenomenal.